This is Sabrina Jade, and you're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal.
You're listening to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with your host, D-Cal.
Welcome back to the E.I.T.H.R podcast with D-Cal. How is everyone doing, man? Did you miss me? Lord knows I missed you guys. Coming live from the GNS HQ here in Northern California. Man, it's been a couple weeks since your boy been on this microphone. So, how's everyone doing, man? Hope all is well with everyone. Hope your life has been better than you expected it to be. And I just want to say thank you very much for tuning back into episode number 132. So let's go ahead and get this out the way, man. The E.I.T.H.R podcast, elephant in the room, where we talk about topics and discussions that you normally wouldn't be able to have with your peers. And you're going to hear things from a multitude of different perspectives. So even if you continue to not agree with what we're saying here, the goal is to at least have an open mind to where you can see it from a different angle, so you are more informed with what it is you are possibly disagreeing about. 916-282-9372, that's the phone number for the E.I.T.H.R podcast. You can give a call, you can shoot a text message on anything you would like for me to discuss, or just holler at your boy whenever you get the chance. You can follow us on social media, the E.I.T.H.R, T-H-E-E-I-T-H-R, on Instagram as well as on Twitter. And you can go ahead and, show some love to GNSETV.com as a free subscription. Pretty much our own TV channel. So we just changed the content. Your boy's been busy for the past few weeks, man. So I'm a little late on that, but I just changed the content so it's more of a scenic vibe. So if you want something nice to look at on your television or your phone, you can post it up. And if you're at work in your cubicle or in your station and you ain't got a view, go ahead and go to GNSETV.com right now. Create a profile. It's free. And I hope you enjoy what I was able to bring to you. So we got a whole lot of stuff we got in the lineup for the business, for the GNS Inc. as a whole. But if you're new to the podcast, man, you're welcome. Much appreciated. And if you're a returning listener, welcome back. So if you are new, we're going to kind of give you a breakdown of how we do things here. So I like to do inspirational, motivational, and I also give shout outs to people or places or things just to kind of, give some credit. So first thing I want to do is say what's up to some new listenership. Like I said, man, it's been 2 weeks since your boy's been on the podcast, and my listenership increased. So I don't know if you motherfuckers don't like me or if you like listen to the old stuff, because when it comes to music especially, sometimes the older is better than the newer. But I do want to give a shout out to some listeners out in Greece, in Hungary, Budapest. That's funny. When I saw Budapest, immediately I went to Marvel, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, and relive that whole moment. If you've seen the Avengers movies, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But Budapest out there, North Holland and Netherlands, the Dominican Republic, Tonga. I appreciate you guys, man. Much love to you listening. And never been a fan of the football team, but I do want to give some shout out and some love to Denver, Colorado, and to Norfolk, Virginia, and to the state capital. Actually, it's not the state capital, Carson City is, but Sparks, Nevada. What up, man? I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. And of course, to El Cerrito, which is out in the Bay Area, El Cajon, which is down in Southern California, San Diego. Thank you for listening to your boy, man. I appreciate that. So we wanted to go ahead and do that. Now, for inspirational, motivational, it's really, really simple. Been doing 132 episodes, so I really appreciate this aspect of the podcast because there's not enough positivity going on in the world. So, I'd like to do something to kind of help you guys stay focused and stay at it. So, on our Instagram, you can see this, but it's RIP to the opportunities we missed because of shyness and low self-esteem. And I have a little caption on the page where you can see it. But man, I'm telling you, it's everything is difficult until you try it. And then once you do it, the only thing that was difficult was figuring out how to get the hell out of your own way. And I tell people this on a regular basis, is the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard. And you're probably thinking, how the hell is the graveyard the wealthiest place? The reason why the graveyard is the wealthiest place on the planet is because that's where goals and dreams have died. Visions and ideas that could have changed and reshaped the world never came to fruition because of the fear that you have of the unknown. And some of us rather settle for a known hell than an unknown heaven. So get the hell up out of your own way, man, and make it happen. We're going to get a shot from our sponsor right quick, and then we're going to be back, Eat the Podcast with your boy D-Cal.
Stop stalling and start miling. Mile.today. That's MILE.today. Mile today. Make it look easy.
So, I also want to give a shout out real quick to a couple people. If you guys are in the East Bay area, you want to go on social media, and you can check it out on the Instagram as well, or the Twitter. I sent this post for Christie's Confections. It's custom cake making. She's out in the East Bay, Brentwood, Antioch area, Pittsburgh area. So if you get the chance, check my girl's page out. Not my girl, literally my girl, because she's married, but check my people's page out and see what she got cooking in the kitchen right now. She got some videos up there where she's, demonstrating how she customizes cakes and things of that nature. And I want to say shout out to Gia, because her ass is never ever getting the chance to listen to the podcast. So I'm hopefully going to see her today. So this time she ain't got no damn excuses. I hope your knee is feeling better, girl. Much appreciated. And got a new follower. I want to go ahead and pay some respect real quick. So if you guys do get the opportunity on your Instagram, make sure you follow. One quick second. I want to make sure I get. What is going to do this right here? Make sure I give you guys a handle. Triceratops _8. Photographer, up and coming, here in the Sacramento area. So we want to go ahead and show some love to some people, and hope you guys, are doing really well this Tuesday. So we're going to get right into some gangster shit. So on August 16th, I posted this video, and it's the Deputy DA of Los Angeles was speaking about how effective at midnight, which I believe was probably sometime the end of July, beginning of August, law enforcement was not going to arrest people ultimately for non-violent crimes like or crimes that would drastically alter, society, the economy, the area, so on and so forth, like theft, shoplifting, a few other things too. Like I said, you can go to battery. You can go on the Instagram page and see watch the video yourself, right? So out and about here up in Sacramento, you have certain retail chains at certain locations. You're standing in line, somebody walks in, whether they look sketch or not, whatever the case is, and just blatantly shoplift right in your face. San Francisco, I believe near Oracle Park, they have a Walgreens that's literally locking up all their frozen food, right? I mean, it's like a scene from Lean on Me, right? When Joe Clark didn't have the metal detectors. So it's funny, but it's not funny. And so in this video, speaking about LA County, how they aren't going to arrest anybody, I've seen people, like I said, here in Sacramento, go inside of a store, and I'm in line, right? These motherfuckers walk in with nothing in their hand, nothing whatsoever. And then you see them walk out with 3, 4, maybe 5 cases of soda and chips. I've seen 2 women come in there and they don't even hide it. It's like disrespectfully blatant. Sometimes they might not even make eye contact with you because they know there's nothing you can do. And a lot of retail chains are, I'm guessing, telling their staff, don't engage with these people, so on and so forth. And I know that sounds awful, which Lord knows it is, right? But I kind of have my own theory of why this shit is happening. This is just me, right? There was a video, I'm going to kind of go on a tangent real quick, but you're going to make the connection with me in a couple minutes. There was a video with the Maui fires and how all these houses and these developments were severely damaged, if not destroyed, by this fire, with the exception of a few individuals' homes who were untouched. No damage, not even a remote hint of danger to their properties being damaged, right? Okay, cool. And I know that kind of caused an uproar over certain people, and rightfully so. Here's my theory on why those houses weren't harmed and the other properties was. I think with the Maui fires, these wealthy individuals, I don't want to call them elites, because certain terms like elites and it gets loosely used, and sometimes we lose the context of what it truly means or the original meaning, and it's stupid. It's like calling someone a friend. Motherfucker's not your friend. They're just someone you chat with on social media. Now, some people become and grow and develop to be friends, sure, but you're not a friend. Or telling someone you love them, you're just too free with that shit. Or the teacher loves this one, woke. Right? That phrase meant one thing, and then it got commercialized and meant something completely different. So, I think these people whose houses were not damaged on the island, they know something's coming. This is just me. This is just, call it conspiracy theory, whatever you want to. But everything is conspiracy theory until it's proven to be correct. And then all of a sudden, people want to know, why didn't you tell them in the beginning? I feel, think, and believe a lot of the people whose houses were not affected in the fire, they know something is coming. And so you clear paths, basically, for them to have a secluded destination to where they are away from everything when the shit hits the fan. That's my opinion. That's how I see it. We're going to make it easy for us to be able to live completely separate and distanced from danger. So when it goes down, we are not harmed. And we can get everything we need, quote unquote, on this island, whether we have our own development stores, our own clothing, our own shopping, transportation, whatever the case might possibly be. That's what I think is going on with Maui. Is that the end all be all? No, but I'm pretty sure that was definitely a selling point. Hey, we can burn all these motherfucking houses down, rebuild some shit, upscale it, upgrade it, up the pricing. You guys can live here. And I'm going to make the connection with another selling point. Again, I don't have any proof of this, but I do believe it isn't a far-fetched guess that I have. Jump back to Los Angeles, California, the West Coast. Can't speak too much on the Midwest, down south, the East Coast, because I'm not from there, nor have I been there. So I'm only going to give my opinion about what I think is going on, where the areas that I have access to. We all have an understanding, I would think, of how gentrification works. If you remember the movie Boys in the Hood, when Furious takes Trey and Ricky to Compton, and he explains to him how gentrification works, where you bring in a certain element, not necessarily meaning people, but a certain element to a neighborhood, which causes the values to drop, where investors can now come in and purchase said area at an extremely cheaper price because there's no demand for it. You can then push the people out who are in that area, and you can raise the property. There's a documentary called The 1% on YouTube by Jamie Johnson, who's the great-grandson. I mentioned this documentary before. He talks to one of the people in Chicago who turned apartment complexes into condos. And they kind of explain how this works. So it's a whole system, quote unquote, that the wealthy and the rich plays with the poor and the broke. So, I think, feel, and believe, in my opinion, the reason why they're allowing all this crime to happen is so people will fuck up the value. Right? People would do all this crap, causing just chaos, if you will, right? For law enforcement, again, their hands are going to be tied because they have orders and they have superiors and people they got to answer to. And they're, in my opinion, they're also running scarce because their budget comes from the same budget that the school system comes from. Property taxes. I mean, donations and other, avenues as well, but primarily property taxes, funds. If you ever go to a nice neighborhood, and I've said this before, and you can research this, it's kind of like economics 101, 202. If you ever go to a nice neighborhood, look at their school. And if you ever go to a shitty neighborhood, look at its school. Common sense, right? And quote unquote, you get what you pay for, unfortunately. Now, with this situation, in my opinion, where people are given the green light to shoplift, do crimes because they know nothing is going to happen to them, air quote. It's every man, woman, child, monkey, gorilla out for themselves, right? It's like, if you ever remember that movie or ever seen that movie, The City of God. just like that. Well, the people who pull the strings are kind of sitting back watching. They're just looking at the statistics, and investors are waiting. Think of it as a kind of like a stock market-esque, because you're just waiting for the market to drop, the market to drop, the market to drop. And people, we're the reason why the market's dropping collectively, right? Now, it's a whole conundrum, because these neighborhoods also are neighborhoods where the jobs that are there, they don't generate enough money to where they can pay people a higher wage so that way they can live comfortably. It's almost like the wage they're being paid is quote unquote on par with the quality of the neighborhood, in so many terms, right? In so many words. So they only have so much of a budget. They only have so much they can do for payroll. They only generate so much sales and volume. So they're restricted. Then you get people in that neighborhood as well who, man, just can't find a job because there's not enough work in the neighborhood for the amount of people who live there. Some of them don't have means to get jobs. I know this sounds like an excuse to some people, and I get it. That's fine. But if you live there, if you're from there, you kind of understand how this works. So then you got to travel further out to find work, to find employment, right? So there's that whole debacle right there. I feel they understand that. They know that. And it's they put a system there for you to go ahead and handle it the best way you possibly can handle it. So that's why you go to certain neighborhoods and it just looks depressing. Well, psychologically, if you depress someone's emotion with depressing environment, their mindset is going to gear towards that. They only look for the negative because that's exactly what the fuck they're surrounded by. So that's why it's very difficult to take someone who is in a bad situation for them to all of a sudden get enlightened with optimism and hope that they'll get out of it. That's not the world they live in. So they almost become desensitized with anything that remotely resembles hope and aspiration, because their reality isn't that. Their reality is exactly the world that they see. So they have to survive and act accordingly in that world. So, because the mindset is, I can't find a job, I don't have transportation to get to the job, I don't have the money to buy clothes for the job, for whatever reason, single parent income, they live in a place and majority of the money is somebody got laid off because the job shut down, whatever the case is. So, they do what they do to get what they got. And I understand it. You can walk into a place and kind of just get drink, chips, snacks, food for free, and you walk out. And it's funny, ha ha, he he, ho ho, I get it. It's entertaining to you. But what can take you a second to get into can take you a lifetime to get out of, because what people don't understand is these same retailers that you're stealing from, the money that they're losing from the sales that they're not making because the product is being stolen, they now aren't making any profit. And no business opens up to give away shit. The object is to make money. So in turn, you're going to get another retailer that closes their door and shuts down and relocate. It's a double-edged sword. I get it. I don't approve of it. I don't condone it, but I understand it because times are hard for people on this side of the tax bracket, right? So once that retailer shuts down and goes out of business, you now have created a depreciation for that neighborhood. That area is now worth less. Think about it. You just forced a retail chain that's nationally known, regionally known, to close their doors and up and migrate. That's not a good sign. So what you just did now was, yes, you lost your opportunity. You lost your your means of food and drink because you're accustomed to going there and just shoplifting. So you lose that aspect, right? But not only that, you just lost an employer. So now there's less jobs. And again, sometimes when you're in that position, bro, not everyone can think for the future, because with living situations and circumstances, everyone's living for the moment. I can't worry about tomorrow because I got to make it happen today. I'll worry about tomorrow if I make it there. Then I'll worry about tomorrow. So today is the only day that matters because tomorrow isn't given. Tomorrow isn't promised. Hell, I don't know if I'm going to make it there. So people take today. There's a neighborhood where there's Walgreens I'm speaking about specifically. Right across the street was a Wiener Schnitzel. And this Wiener Schnitzel has been shut down. That's crazy to me. You shut down a Wiener Schnitzel. Granted, poor neighborhood, less foot traffic, less sales, a lot of interesting things going on in front of your location, which also deters people from wanting to be there, whether it's panhandling, prostitution, whatever the case may be, right? I get it. I understand. I get it. But I think a lot of people don't understand this part is when it comes to the panhandling and the homeless situation, they are, from my observation, wherever they tend to camp out at, it seems they're being forced to move to the more common areas, neighborhoods. So if you have homeless people, like for Sacramento, for example, if you have homeless people on the Panhandle, which is down Garden Highway, right? On the other side of the 5 freeway, by Garden Highway, Richards Boulevard, when you take the people who are there and you push them more towards, for an example, Del Paso Heights, well, that homeless people, that encampment, that now group of folks who are in Del Paso Heights, they weren't there before. Now you put them there. So if someone is passing through Del Paso Heights, what are they going to see? A high concentration of homeless people, a high concentration of unhoused individuals. They weren't there the last time they passed through. Now all of a sudden they are. So you kind of take all the bad things and you tend to put them in a concentrated area. I get it. So that way you can kind of do a fair sweep of everything all at once when the time is right. But the issue with that is when you have people camping out in front of your Wiener Schnitzel, panhandling in front of your Wiener Schnitzel, for example, asking money for Wiener Schnitzel, for example, breaking into Wiener Schnitzel, stealing food, robbing it because obviously, life is rough, drug, whatever, people are going to stop going. So again, Wiener Schnitzel is out of business. So you lose that. I feel, think, and believe that's kind of what's being allowed. Here's the reason why. Everything is becoming corporatized. Corporations that got their hand damn near in any and everything they want. I feel corporate America is going to buy up a lot of these neighborhoods. There's a certain phrase for it because there are private investors who own multiple properties and land in poor neighborhoods who allow these houses and buildings to decay and just become landfills, if you will. They allow it because they know that the city or the county is going to subsidize income for them to be able to renovate these properties. There's a phrase for it, and I can't remember what it exactly is. But that's the reason why some buildings aren't getting fixed up or spruced up or pretty, because the owners they don't want it to be. Because in the big game, like stock market for real estate, they're waiting for that payout of free money, which is, if you really think about it, they're doing the same shit they're accusing the poor people of doing. It's just because they're a higher class, it's more justified. Really, nothing's different. It's all perception, in my opinion. So again, I think, feel and believe corporate America is going to buy up a lot of the land and or real estate and or properties, put businesses there. AI is becoming, so guess what? They ain't really got to spend no money on payroll now. So now you get this common area, poor area, for lack of a better term. You put your corporation in this poor area for pennies on the dollar. You renovate it, you spruce it up, whether it's money given to, as a donation, a grant, whatever your business qualifies for. And now you have prime real estate. And of course these neighborhoods are going to get manicured because it's corporate owned now. And if you don't fit the bill, or if you're not part of what they really want as an environment, you're not going to be allowed there. If you kind of get what I'm saying, right? So how does that tie into the people in Maui? Remember I said I was going to tie that back in together. In my opinion, in the way my brain thinks, some of these corporations are probably talking to some of these celebrities and saying, listen, why don't you invest in this company, you get a kickback, or why don't you become a partner with me and we can go ahead and split the profits, 80-20, 70-30, whatever the case might possibly be. It's, if I'm a corporation and I'm buying up land in a poor neighborhood and forcing all the people out, and I'm bringing this AI intelligent type of system in to where everything is going to be done on an assembly line-esque type of system, and you already have products and services being distributed through app services anyway, and you have third-party delivery services picking up the product, dropping the product off. Really, as a celebrity with that type of partnership, you really ain't got to do shit but just donate a couple of million to you as pocket change at that level. And then you get a percentage every month, every quarter, an annual bonus, or you can have this go to a charity or donation of your liking, or however you want to set it up, right? And then you just got to go out and endorse it. Be the face, be the body, be the celebrity behind this service, behind this product. And then you can also bring it to the island that you now have all this land because you guys, I'm sorry, because these unfortunate fires were set. We don't know who or how or why. Wink, wink, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So now it's additional money, because that's what it boils down to. Some of those people at that position. It's profitability. Bottom line, y'all. So that's what I see. They're allowing things to get ruined on purpose so they can later on buy it for cheap, make it pretty and attractive, and sell it back to you. They're going to create the problem so they can sell the solution, right? They're going to create the sickness so they can sell the remedy. It's a system, a pattern that we've seen for decades upon decades upon decades. That's what I think of why crime is running rampant. Now, again, everyone's going to have their reasons of why crime. I get that. But I will say, most people drink because why? They want to celebrate something. Most people drink why? Because they're upset about something. Most people drink because why? They see other people doing it. Okay. I liken drugs, narcotics, amphetamines to kind of be the same principles of why people drink, right? You cope with it. Have you ever been depressed but then took a drink of something, took a smoke of something, or did something and it put you in a better mood? And then all of a sudden when that high came down, you still had the reality of what you hated. So what do? You run right back to that thing that gave you that high. Now your body's building a tolerance to it. So what do you got to do? Now you have to do more. If so facto, layman's terms, you just became an addict. Right? And some people have addictive personalities more than others. On top of that, if you are enabled on a certain substance, it damn sure can alter your way of thinking. And if you're on it for so long, your thought process have now been altered. So when you are off of that assistance, there's permanent damage residue behind after that. My A1 was letting me know, a lot of these people who are homeless, man, they have the help that we don't know that they got. It's just the way they think. They don't want it. They don't want the restrictions. They don't want the rules. They don't want to be told what to do. And my assessment is very similar to why people want a gig job. They don't want the 9 to 5. They don't want a boss. They don't want a supervisor. They don't want a schedule. They want to do whatever it is that they want. With some of these addicts, the same principle is the mindset that they got. It's just the execution and the outcome is completely different, right? But they have these programs where you go and you have a place to eat, you have a place to sleep, you have a place where you can rest, but you have to be home, kind of like a curfew. And again, some of them don't want that restriction, to say the least. Again, there's more detail to it. I'm kind of just giving on the surface, bare basic explanation of what this stuff is, right? So that's what I feel when it comes to individuals stealing. Some of them are doing it because they're trying to get a fix so they can get a high. Some of them are doing it because rational thought is out the fucking window because of their addiction problem. Some of them are doing it because they're stressed out, and it's very difficult to see someone eat and you can't, so you take. And it becomes so easy now, why would you stop? And if that's how you have to survive, why are you going to listen to somebody else tell you to work harder to get something that you had to work less to achieve? Again, that's a quality a lot of people have in the regular workforce, right? My generations before me, when it comes to hard work versus smart work, there are people out there who don't know what quote unquote physical hard work is, because now it's intellectual hard work, which is not the same, but in theory it kind of is. So with this crime, here you go. That's my opinion, and what I see happening is that. Do y'all agree? Do you think it's the same? Or you kind of like, yo, D, you're stupid. That don't make no damn sense. Quit smoking that shit. Or is it one of those, okay, I can see how these dots connect, and that does make sense. What say you? You're more than welcome to also download the Spreaker app, where you can chat with me in regards to what you hear here on episode 132. Now, the next thing I want to bring up real quick is college basketball. I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio the other day, and there's a university in the South that is notorious for pumping out one and dones. And for those of you who are not familiar with college basketball and the terminology, what a one and done is somebody who goes to college and basically after your freshman year, you're off to the pros. That's it. You have your freshman year, you do well in your freshman year, and next thing you know, they're pumping you to the NBA draft, right? And the selling is, you're young, you can make millions of dollars in the professional league and support your family and this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. So now these kids who spend, their freshman year playing basketball, at not just this particular university, but there's several of them others out there. You now go to the league because the NBA made this thing where you can't come into the league after high school anymore. So now you have this 18, 19, 19, 20-year-old going to play in the NBA. And I mean, generational wealth, of course, do your thing. Here's, in my opinion, after listening to what they were talking about, is my concern. Because even though you jump out of college into the pro, which was the goal to play college basketball anyway, you didn't develop anything. On a bigger scale, there's some people who are more gifted than others. There are some people who they catch on quicker than some. So you always have the exception to the rule. But for the most part, they don't know how to develop because you didn't spend time. Man, back in the day, you had colleges where you knew, okay, you're going to be able. So you knew before you were going to be there, and you were going to have time to develop everything, like handles, whatever you were weak at, you were going to be able to strengthen that. So you knew when you went to the pros, you were going to be more of a solid prospect. That was very, very common. Nowadays, it's very common for a kid to come into the school, expectations, and many of them don't live up to the expectations because they weren't able to develop the skill set that they were supposed to or expected to have. So a lot of them fall short. And in my opinion, some of these coaches, you're supposed to develop the player. That's what you're here for. They come here not just to get the education, but from a sports aspect, they come here so that way they can develop into becoming a more well-rounded position based on what they are and based on so at the next level transition XYZ. So when you go pro level and you can't, it's overwhelming for you. A lot of these people tend to be labeled as busts, for lack of a better term. And I kind of think that's I think that's dope. Cool. I'm in the NBA. Guess what now? The whole development thing is a hit or a miss depending on what it depends on. Okay, cool. I get that part. Now the college coach, he comes to the next high school junior, high school senior to recruit. And this particular coach can now say, look, I put D-Cal, I put Cal D, I put Cal, I put Cal D, I put these 4 players into the league through my system after their first year. So here's what I can do for you. You see this right here? This is $1.2 billion worth of contracts between these 4 or 5 players that played for me. I can get you one of these contracts. Just if you come here, we're going to get you right into the league. You ain't got to worry about nothing because that's what we do at said university. Now, most college fans, just like professional fans, the championship is the goal. That's what you want. That's what you're doing it for. That's what you're out there to do. Win a ring, win a banner, win a title. Some coaches, especially those with these one and done situations, these one and done universities. I don't think a title was a concern with them as much as having the gravitas to say, I put the most players in the profession. I put more players in the pro than any other coach. Now, that player who typically comes from nothing, right? They're always going to remember that coach because you put me into the league. You got me to a position where I'm able to go here. So they're going to look at it from that perspective, which is not wrong. It is what it is. But that coach is literally saying championships don't really mean nothing to me because I'm always going to have a top recruiting class because everybody I go visit, they want to go pro. And they know they're going to do whatever I tell them to do because that's what's going to get them pro. Do you kind of see how the manipulation goes? So you have coaches who are developing players staying longer, possibly winning national championships. That's good for the university in one aspect. But the other aspect is good for the university because there's a high turnover of young talent who constantly wants to come and play for you. Fan bases love it because so-and-so, you're going to be a fan of him and he's going to go to the pros. And so it's a great entertainment. And that's kind of what it boils down to. And I personally, again, think, feel, and believe, man, when it comes to this, it's not a good look. But I come from a generation where national championships was a thing for everybody. The college rivalry was a thing for everybody, right? Tradition in today's world of sports, that shit's by the wayside, son. Right? It's now becoming profitability. Not necessarily probability, but profitability. What's going to generate the most